The Rosemonds. That's through your family tree. Spread out. What do they call it? Yes. Yeah. That's exactly right. You got laid out. You know who's there's somebody in your tree that you feel good about, or you are intrigued, or you need to know more about them. So you do some research. You find out. You talk to your Aunt Jane. My Aunt Jane gave me everything I needed to know, and some stuff I probably shouldn't have known. But so I wrote down everything she gave me and took all the photos she gave me, and said, okay, so now I got it in my family tree. What do I do with that? Um, so some of you have a yellow sticky that says, what's yours say? Cornerstone. That means the book. Okay, so the book is what comes out of it. You don't have to write a book, but you need to find a way to preserve the story of that person that you feel so closely to. Is because that your name is ma'am? Jerry. Miss Jerry, I got something. The first book. Okay, that book was written because those photographs, only one in the story. Okay, so your great grandmother, and her name is Camellia Carrier. Here's what you do. You write what you have. If you got the photograph, that's a good start. Let's start with that one. You can't hear that. Let's start them over. Let's do this. Gotta get my volume up. Here we go. All right, let's start that over.
He also had a photo of his grandmother.
It's only a minute, 27 seconds long. So we'll start it over. Come on. There. No. Didn't like that.
This is a picture of my cousin, Stanley Duke. In 2006, when this photo was taken, Stanley was 91, and he lived to be 101. While we were there, he pulled out some old photos of our family, some of which I had never seen. He had pictures of his father. His mother, Jane Rosamond Duke, is the sister of my grandmother, Antoinette Rosamond. Here's a photo of his father, John Duke. He also had a photo of his grandmother. Jane and Antoinette were two of 6 children born to Antoine Rosamond and Camellia Carrier.
All right, so here's what you can do with that.
This is how
You don't want to write a book.
you have as opposed to buying extra stuff.
And what we're attempting to do is to make sure that we know who is in the photograph that's going to be hanging on the wall. Oftentimes, people think they need to know more or something. And so here's our method number one of making sure, and this is a simple one, it doesn't require a lot of skill or a lot of tools, just a basic envelope, which you tape on the back of the frame. All right, so now we'll trim the note so it fits in the envelope, because we don't need a whole lot of paper. I would have liked to have done more than one on this one piece of paper. I really would have saved a lot of time and resources by doing that. But this will be fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be functional. It needs to do what it's supposed to. It's in there pretty good now. You got the pocket in there. And now we know that on this side of the picture, if you're looking at the wall, you know now that this person in the photograph is Camellia L. Carrier.
This is a picture of my
Okay,
cousin
so
Stanley Duke.
that for people like my that's my wife's cousin Stanley. He's gonna write a book. Anybody, if you're there, I get it. That's good. That's what you need to do. Make sure you have somebody that doesn't have to be typed out. Be just hand printed out. The best stories are the ones you find that are in the hand of someone who's in the photograph. If you got that, cool. It might be on the back of the photograph. Take a picture of the photograph, put that in the slot. Or just make sure you have it somewhere. The documents are important. There, and then next to the documents, I think, are the photographs. Or maybe the photographs are first. Depends on how you look at it. Sometimes you have a photograph with no information. That's when it gets tough. And you know, there's really no answer to that. One of the reasons that the process became important to me is I was in an antique store, and I found my way to a bin that had photographs. And for a moment, I just lost it. I couldn't. Who these people belong to? And they're in an antique shop, and it felt like something was missing. Who do these people belong to? And it hit me so hard. I thought, well, I'm going to go home, and all the photographs I have of people, I need to make sure I know who they are, and I have some way of identifying who they are, so it never get lost like that. Story is you started because of a story. Somebody suggested to you that you're going to be the family historian, or you're going to be the keeper of the tree, or whatever you want to call yourself. I like the family historian thing because people ask me, are you a genealogist? And I'm not professional. But I've been working on this for some time, and so I know what to do. Like Marilee Gardner is who I find. When I get lost, tell me what we do about this. If you get it, she's amazing. All right. She'll help you find your story. All right, so in saving the story, I mentioned a minute ago that the photographs are important. The photographs tell a lot of things. I'm going to pick one this one. And I'm not related to these people. Then that's what makes it so intriguing. But I know some of the folks who are related to them. And to have the conversation about these women, particularly the elder. Um, she's Emma McNair. Now, my pictures written a lot of information on where they are, who they are, kind of good stuff. But this is one of those intriguing things where her name shows up all over the documents. If you do any searches on Emma McNair, see pictures of Emma McNair, and you'll see that picture along with there's another one, this one, and harder to see, but this is Emma when she's between 16 and 18 years old. We don't know exactly, but the story is that she was owned by some folks who had means, and apparently they were kind to her to some degree, at least to that much. But her descendants, those women, those 5 women in the picture, their stories, each one of them have a whole different detail. They all ended up one and moving away from mom, and they all ended up with incredible histories. I mean, I've had the pleasure to speak to 3 of the descendants of those 5 women, and actually 6, because Emma's the one that. Now Emma's the one that piques my curiosity, because I think she had to be pretty incredible, and the photograph tells you a whole lot. So stories come out of what you see in the photograph. Now I'm still working on some of this, so don't hold me to this. I'm still working on this, and I'm working with the people who know them. So I see something that's in that woman's face that tells me she's got this dignity about her. You know, I don't know what kind of past she had, but it had to be difficult at best. And to see her sitting there with her children, and there are 2 boys that aren't in the photograph. They have a different story too, and I know some of their folk. So you talk to people about a photograph, you need to get as much out of them as what they know about these people. They can tell you so many things that the photograph leaves out. But I want you to think about, in your tree, your photograph. The answers are in the photographs a lot of times, and not in the documents. Okay, I'm going to show you one more, and then we'll talk about some other things real quick, and I'll be done. And I'm really pushing on the photographs because one of you have a question mark on your tag. Do you have that one? You have the question mark? What's your feeling about photographs at this point?
I love photographs.
You do?
That's how I got into it.
Okay. Okay, so the reason why yours has a question mark on it, because I needed to make sure that when your giveaway is tied to, if you're picking up on something here that makes some sense, I got something for you. So it's one of those things I came across for myself. Anybody that's interested in photographs should have. Your graphic did a special on the photographs. You got a Cornerstone one? Okay, so here's the only thing I ask. If you don't want the book, find somebody to give it to. But that's my autographed copy of the book. Who else has that so I can get this out the way because I'm going to run out of time here in a quick. Well, I don't know. Huh? You got one too? Oh, you can't have a book. You can't have a book.
I was late,
You
so
got
I
it?
didn't get anything.
Anybody else had one? Thank you, ma'am. It's called Never Remove the Cornerstone. And it's about Byron, my second great. He's a free man of color in Louisiana, born in 1844. It's a story that's a result of in 2007. And now the problem with that is he died in 1903. So how do you interview somebody who's no longer here? Okay. Huh? You get as much documentation. Some of you, if you got the book, open to the page, the first page in the book. And what do you see? Is there a signature?
Yes.
That signature in the middle of the page,
Yes.
that's his signature.
How did you capture that?
In a document from the land that he owned, the deed. Yeah. Yeah. See, I was fortunate enough to know that, okay, this guy had done some things, and he left breadcrumbs. He left trails to follow. It's something that he was here. And then we started looking at the same things that you were looking at. You're looking at the census records, and you're looking at all the documents that's available. I looked at his marriage certificate with the woman that he married, and then I started asking to talk to, passed away in 2021. He was one of 7 had a lot of time with him. I spent a lot of time with him. Influence. Because he sounded like what I thought my grandfather would sound like. So much of what I wrote had more to do with what Bernard told me. He was 94 years old when he died last year. Anyway, that story will come out. You'll see it if you go to the website for Discover Your Roots. The story will be there. You'll find a lot of the stories there. You need to hear. Did everybody get a book that's supposed to? Did anybody get a ticket that doesn't have a book on it? Somebody have something else? What's yours say?
Gaines book too.
Gaines. Okay. Let's see where I am. I'll tell you about that. Don't go without that one. You want the Gaines book. Okay, so yeah, that's a whole different story. And so I have to make sure I'm on track. Okay, I gave out the net. See, I'm there. I got that. I'm almost ready, Fred. You ready? Okay, so here's the deal. How you record the story varies, depends on. I have a blog spot. I have a website, and I'm an owner of a business, so I can I can use that platform. But if you don't have that there, at the at this point, I don't think you can video. You can in the earlier helping class, and it was the place that I could find it. So if we have some time at the end, I'll show you where I posted a story in Family Search. And I made it public today. I didn't realize I had locked it out. So everybody, but it's available to anybody. And that story is not the story about the 7 guys who served in the military. It's not about Gaines or Vic Nair. It's a story about a woman who's pregnant in 1954. And pretty interesting story. So, all right. Now the story on Ernest Gaines, because I got to give you that, and then I got to introduce you to. Does anybody have a question I can answer real quick? Yes, sir.
That photo of the ladies, what was the time frame? Do we know the time frame in which the photo was taken?
Yeah, it's a guess. Well, no, she was. We think it's the 1930s. Yeah, the early 1930s.
The ladies' hairstyles kind of look like before them.
Yeah. And it could be. I mean, nobody has a definite answer. The hairstyles, and that's good. It's still a subject of debate, so we'll bring that up. That's one of the questions that, the descendants of those ladies are trying to grapple with. But they have that picture is one of many that they have, and so that one was the one that the quality of it was just amazing. And so I thought, well, if you get something, so, some of my photos are all faded, and we tried to retouch them, and it's very difficult to do that without, you incur some cost. So yeah, there's sometimes it's a work in progress. Somebody's going to tell us exactly, but as of now, with the photograph that's in the book of Jules Bayon, we think that photograph was taken about 1895 or so, because he died in 1903, and he was pretty young when he died. He didn't make it to 60. So yeah, photographs will tell a lot of stories. So it is the foundation for the story for most of us. It gives you a lot more than you think. Now, if you can do it, the best thing that you can do is interview those elders. And when you interview them, make sure you do a little bit of a video. Use your phone. By all means, use that technology. You spent all that money for an iPhone, or one of those Samsung deals. Man, they got the best cameras. For the time. Use the current technology, and you get something. So, if you're going to be with us later, I'll have some more things to show you. But did I give everybody a book that's supposed to get a book? Yes, ma'am.
I had my mother to write her own story.
Wow.
And we gave her, my daughter and I gave her a really pretty journal for her to write it in. So months later, I came to collect her story, and she said, I wasn't gonna mess up that pretty book. She wrote it on notebook paper and stuck it in there.
How great.
I took all of that and so I could share with my children.
Beautiful.
My grandchildren. I found pictures to match the story, and so I have the story of Boo.
That's how you do it. You got it? Did you get it? I hope the recording picks it up, because I'm gonna tell you something. That's one of the best ways to do it.
And what was so neat is I was writing it and sending it to my sons. You know, like I had the first little couple of pages I'd send it to them, and my youngest son said, "Mom, send some more. This is great." You know, so you know, just to keep your story alive.
Fred, you ready? Yeah. Okay, so
Before you go on, I was just gonna say, I think there were a couple people almost that touched on it, is the idea that it's sort of captivating even to, I think, younger generations to get these, have the pictures. Pictures are cool. I mean, of course, we got this kind of new technology where they're capable of internet and
yeah, it's good. This is the deal. This is gonna introduce Fred Smith, who's going to kind of give you some more ideas on how you can document stories. Now, he has a unique one for you. Gaines' deal is this. Ernest Gaines happens to be a relative of mine. Years ago now. Miss Jane Pittman?
No, I haven't.
Okay. They did a movie about it, by the way. Yeah. I'll give you that one. How about that?
I'd rather have your hat.
You can't have the hat. I'm sorry. Look. Somebody else asked me for the hat before you. Wink, wink. Good idea, though, right? Oh, I need to make sure. Oh, no, somebody got something that says mugs. Nobody got the ticket that said mugs? Okay. Well, that for the next class. But if anybody wants a mug now, well, just raise your hand. It says enjoy. And if you don't have the book, enjoy the journey is important. You got a mug, I'll give you one. All right. Fred, you ready? Let's get you up now. Okay. And I'll have your book in a second. Somebody put it on the table and left it on the table.
My name is Fred Smith. I was born in the 40s, you can tell by the hairstyle. Anyway, I thought I'd include that. I think it's very important for the lessons that we learn from our ancestors, from people that are gone by, and also current people. And I know I look at Family Search, on my family tree, I look at the people, and I look at the gallery of people, and I read everything that's been posted about them, photos, stories. It's incredible, and I've really enjoyed that. I was going to talk a little bit about StoryWorth. I'm not getting a kickback from them. And there's probably, I'm not going to sit down and write my history. I'm not going to sit down and I was born on this date and this. I'm just not going to do that. I don't have the fortitude to do it. But I think what I started before I actually started Storyworth is I wrote some very personal stories, or at least one very personal story that happened years ago. I worked in a penitentiary, U.S. Penitentiary Atlanta. I worked for 29 years for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And I walked in on an escape attempt. I got stabbed and robbed and tied up. It was hard to write about. I wrote about it 44 years after the incident. I wanted to be able to share my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. And had I not recorded that, I don't know who would have, or it would have been, what I experienced. My children were, the youngest was 2, the next child was 6, and the next child was 7. The 6-year-old's in the room right now. That takes me to Storyworth. My daughter gave me a subscription to Storyworth, and it's kind of a unique thing where you get a question each week. And she actually generates the questions, but if she doesn't generate them, they generate them. And you respond to that question. And in responding to that question, you can also tell who to send a copy to. So I send one to each of my kids. I send one to each of my daughter-in-laws. I send one to my sister, and they're finding out things they never knew. Obviously, sometimes I get a question and I look at it and I'm like, I'm not going to write about that. Well, it's okay. You can change what you're going to talk about, and you go in and you put it on the computer, and after you put it on the computer, you post it, and so you have a document. You have a written copy of it. You can add it to Family Search. You can put a document in Family Search, and so it'll be there basically forever. So it's kind of neat from that standpoint. I've gone back. I make writing errors. I go back and I edit it. I correct spellings. I correct things. So it's flexible from that standpoint, just like any document that you might create yourself. I think the subscription, I had to look it up because I didn't know what it cost. It's $99. Now, I wouldn't have gotten that for myself, but that's what pushed me to write and to kind of tell different things that people don't really know about. They weren't there. They don't know about it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so you subscribe to it. Do each one of your, whoever you want to see it, do it have to subscribe to?
No. The $99 covers a year, and you get a question each week, and you can send it to as many people as you want to. Who do you want to share it with? So it's pretty unique in that way. I think most of us need motivation to be able to write and to be able to share these things, because we all think, oh, it'd be so neat if I could just do that. And when do we ever get around to doing it? We kind of put it off. We don't do it. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback, mostly from my daughter-in-laws. I don't hear too much from my sons or my or my daughter. They don't, I think they are enjoying reading it, but my daughter-in-laws are thoroughly enjoying it, learning things that they never knew. but it's just something, it might be a way for you to, if you've got a relative or a parent that's not too old that would be able to do the writing, it'd be a great thing to give them. But if they're beyond, hey, they can't do the computer, whatever, then you have to do the method that Byron uses. You know, you go and you interview them, you talk to them, you record it, so that you can get it documented. I'm not sure what else to say. There's a sheet that gives you a little bit of information. At the end of the year, they actually give you a 480-page book. But the downside is, it's like 6 by 9. It's pretty small. But 480-page book, it must be pretty thick unless they use real thin paper. You can buy additional copies, and if you put a lot of effort into it, sure, you're going to buy additional copies and give to your kids or whatever, even though they already got individual stories, like a week at a time, that kind of thing, but it would be all bound in one. And it happens to be a black and white book. You can do the color book, and upgrade, you have to pay another $39. That's for up to 300 pages. And then there's a $79 for 300 pages of color, and then $99 for 480 pages of color. So I think that's probably where they get their money primarily from. I mean, they get it from subscriptions, but you know, hey, if you order 10 books or you order whatever, they're going to get a pretty good return on their money.
So there's pictures in that too,
Oh
or just?
no, you add pictures to it, so you write and you you download pictures. Yeah. So it's.
So do you archive it, or what? I mean, when you're
You have.
writing and you're taking pictures, you're sending them?
You send them, and you've got a copy of it. They've got a copy of it for the publishing of the book. Prior to the book coming out, I think they give you about 3 months at the end of your subscription to finalize your book, because you might want to do a print preview. Oh, this doesn't look right, or whatever, to look at it and maybe lay it out better. Yes?
You know what happens to your information that you give them?
I know that it's in the book, and I know that it's the people that you send it to.
You could keep copies of it on your.
Oh, I do keep copies of it, but I'm assuming they don't sell it to anybody, but who knows? I have friends that would not do it. I'm sure I have friends that would not do it. Hey, I don't want to share that information.
I've saved every single email that's come through Salesforce that sent to me. Not only for my husband to have, but for, my husband's children or grandchildren. And I personally just enjoy learning about him and his life and the stories. It's so interesting.
I've done some of my writing has been on the dark side because I worked in a prison. So some of it, people don't want to see that, and I understand that. I wrote about going through the riots in Atlanta at the penitentiary, 1987. 1,500 Cubans took over the prison, had over 100 hostages. The longest siege in history. I also try to maintain a low profile. I mean, I'm here talking, but in 2006, I got called by the U.S. Attorney's Office in California, and I was called to go out to testify in a trial. It was the largest death penalty trial the government's ever had. There were 40 people indicted, and 16 of them were facing the death penalty. And it was from an incident that happened in 1979. I placed a guy at the scene of a murder at the penitentiary in 1979. He happened to be the head of the Aryan Brotherhood. And he was responsible for 32 murders. He either killed them himself, ordered them killed, or approved them being killed. So I'm a little leery of the Aryan Brotherhood. In the crowd today, I didn't see too many beards and tattoos and kind of, so I assume I'm okay. I'm okay today. But only a few, not everything I've written is about the prison, but I had to write those. I wanted to document them. I really felt compelled to do that. I don't know, I really enjoy genealogy and searching for people, and especially when you can find these stories that people have written, the photos that they post and things, and so those will be there forever. Now the things that I put on my family tree for me, and I've added a few documents there in memories. You can't see them because I'm alive. When I'm dead, you'll be able to see them. But anyway, that's any other questions about Storyworth or?
I was going to mention, I love the idea of Storyworth and tried to give it to my dad, and he's like, no. So I went online and looked for questions to ask him.
Oh.
Just Google questions for family history or something like that. And so I just wrote down several questions, and then I just took my phone and I recorded him, and I would ask him the question, and then he would share. So I had an audio Storyworth, but he wouldn't write, but he would record. And another thing that I love is because of my at the time my parents lived away, grandparents lived away, so I got a little app on my phone called Tape a Call, and then I would just call them and start this app so it would record our conversation, so I could interview them over the phone since I wasn't right there with them, and I could ask questions over the phone. So I have those audios in my.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you know this, but you can put anything audio on Family Search. And I had a cousin quite a few years older than me that wanted to be a DJ, and he was goofing around like our grandmother, and he recorded on a tape recorder, and he has since uploaded it to Family Search, and it's just awesome to actually hear her voice. Whatever you do, you put on Family Search. And obituaries have been so helpful for me on Family Search. I want to start recording some things. I'm one of the oldest ones left in my family, but I wasn't sure. What right here is talking about a digital audio recorder. I don't know if there's a good one I should get. I'm not very tech savvy.
That question's to Byron.
Okay.
I did research on that too, but if you have a phone,
I've got a phone.
use that.
Okay. I mean, is there an app or something, or just plain hit record?
There's a voice recorder app that comes standard. It's free on your phone. You just, I don't know. What kind of phone you have?
I have a Samsung.
Oh yeah, it's called Voice Notes.
Voice Notes.
Right. I use it all the time.
Okay. I mean, all the time I'm thinking of what I want to write down, and I never do it. So if I could just start copying my
Pull up
phone.
voice notes yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
This is kind of fun. StoryCorps also does studio quality reporting.
What is it called?
StoryCorps.
It's like number 6. I read that number 6. It's up in Atlanta.
Okay.
It's up in Atlanta, and you can make a reservation there, and they'll actually do studio quality reporting.
StoryCorps.
StoryCorps. The last
StoryCorps.
event, they had people who spoke and they're, I don't know whether they still have the same program they had before. But,
So now that it's in your phone, well, how do you still save it?
well,
For,
it allows you to store it in, it was MP3 format. Yeah, so, yeah, and you can upload that to, anybody can take it, just like a music file. It's like a music file.
like
It's like,
onto Ancestry, or can you store it?
well, yeah, you can, I don't know how you go directly to Ancestry. I use Family Tree Maker as a kind of an interim map. So I put all that stuff there. I don't upload my video files to Ancestry. But you can make them available. You can do that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
A little bit less formal than the last one. If you think that was easy and loose, this is going to be even more loose because we only had a 1 day to prepare. And the only good side about that is that we have similar topics from the last one, so we can kind of keep moving in the direction we're in. And plus, this group has some input that's amazing. So I'm gonna follow in on the one thing we started with, and so because if I don't cover it, I'll forget it, and it's not in my notes. Don't discount feelings. See if this makes some sense. One night. Yeah, come on in. Come on, you can come in. We're good. One night, 2001. I was working on Family Tree then, and I was working had a different computer. World's different. Right? You still got me? Okay. And I got a message. It wasn't audible. It was one of those, almost like telepathic. And it was a simple thing is you have to complete the work you started. Okay? So that's 2001. Now, I'll tell you what started this was a discussion with another man. 1985. And I was in Chicago, Illinois. At the time, I was living in Denver, Colorado. So I took a flight to Chicago because my mom's great aunt, great uncle, and my great uncle, my grandmother's brother, Wade. Wade was not doing well, and he was they put him in a nursing home, and it was the most difficult thing I had ever had to experience. One of it. I watched the man just before his final days, and the most important thing to him was a box. It was a little smaller than that, about half the size of that. But it had everything in that box that he thought was important in life. And he said to me, I need you to take this stuff and I need you to work with it. He said, I need you, the words were, I need you to keep up with the family. I thought that's interesting. And my Uncle Wade was a no-nonsense type of guy, and so we had a we had an interesting conversation that lasted about 2 hours. And going through that box, he was telling me who this person was and who this person was, and I'm looking at. I knew some of them. Some of them I had no idea who they were, and it didn't occur to me at that point that he was giving me, he was passing on his legacy. At that moment, it just, I mean, right now it's just blowing my mind thinking about it, because I knew that we were having our last discussion. I told him, I said, Uncle Wade, I'm never coming back to Chicago. When you're gone, I'm not coming back here. It's cold. It was cold. It was so cold that day. I'd never experienced that kind of cold before.
1 year at Northwestern University.
That'll do it.
No more.
Man.
Too cold.
And and I was saying it kind of jokingly, and he didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He showed me a couple of pictures and most beautiful women, and he said, "This is my first wife." and I don't guess she's beautiful. And then he shows me another picture. This is my second wife, and this is not the woman you're married to now. So I said, "What happened to these women?" He said, "Well, they died. They died." And I said, "Did you kill them?" No laugh. He didn't laugh. He just did not laugh. That's the kind of guy. He was so straight to the point. Nothing. So this guy's giving me, and I'm thinking, why are you giving me everything you own in life now at this point? Why me? And for years, I've questioned that, and people have asked me, why did you give it to you? I don't know. I do know, but I don't know. I mean, I know now because I had him speak to me in a way. And he still speaks to me from time to time. He didn't say a whole lot. He lets me know if I'm messing up. And he lets me know if I'm off task. And sometimes it's kind of like, can you give me a minute? But so if you have those feelings as you're working late nights on your family tree, did anybody see the lady with the sweatshirt on today? Let me tell you something. They understand. When you say, I stay up late nights doing this stuff, you get it. You understand what I'm saying? They talk to you, right? They tell you stuff. Go ahead, say it.
I was going to say, the spirits have no sense of time.
They really don't care.
They don't care if it's in the middle of the night.
They will wake you
1
up.
o'clock, 2 o'clock, they don't care. And sometimes when I'm getting information, and it's not about genealogy, it's about other things, I have to literally pray and tell them, please leave my hand.
Let me sleep tonight.
Leave me alone.
Yep.
Talk to me when I come home from work tomorrow. But,
Yeah, the last time I had one, I was thinking about my mom. And I think the photographs have a lot to do with this, because I keep a photograph of my mother right at my hallway that leads to my bedroom. It's right as I enter my bedroom door. So it's right there before I go in. I don't have her in my bedroom because I don't want her talking to me about stuff in my bedroom. So I won't have my mom's picture in the bedroom. Bad enough, I have my wife's picture in there, and she tells me stuff. She's here. But she said to me, I remember just waking up early morning, just stirring and just having a tough time. And my mom passed away in 1991, so I was kind of having this tearful moment inside. It was just, I missed her for a moment, just missing her. I really could, almost as if she said, well, I'm here. What you want? Okay. Okay, I don't have anything special to ask you, but I just miss you. Well, okay, I'm here. So now, and it was just, it was as if she was standing there saying, hey, it's okay. It's okay for you to feel that way. Just, I'm here. I'm always here. Just, and then the time before that, I had a cousin that I met one day. I met him one day 50 years ago. And the following year, he was killed. So I met him one day. I met he and his wife and his 2 little girls. And I heard him say one night, you need to make sure you get in touch with my family. Do what Wade told you to do. And I was like 2 in the morning. I got up. Why is this guy asking me to do this? I barely knew him. And the circumstances surrounding us meeting was so strange. I met him one day and thought, well, and when I met him, I was like 15 years old. And he was 35, 36 years old. Had 2 little girls. They were like 3 and 4 years old, 3 and 5. So 6 months ago, I had a conversation with those 2 girls and their mom, who's 83. And we did a Zoom call a few weeks ago. And she tells the story. I can't tell too much about the story because it's their story, and I'm helping them develop it and make sure that they get it, because they want to have it preserved. It is a moving and compelling story. If you tap into some of my social media, you'll see it. It'll show up somewhere, and I think it's going to be called The Duke of Earl. Like the song? You heard the Duke of Earl? Yeah, the Duke of Earl. Yeah, the difference is Earl is spelled E-A-R-L-E. So when you see that, that's the story that came out of that. And needless to say, it's still a real emotional roller coaster ride because I hadn't spoken to those people for 50 years. And my brother said, well, I don't understand how you do that. I said, well, you just do what you're told. And I was told I needed to call them. Well, how do you know to call them? Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It's amazing how if you have to do something and it's the right thing to do, and like Emmanuel says, the spirits, not only they did not have much concept of time, or they don't care about effort. You just do what you're told. And for some reason, I think they have something to do with how you find out. They're probably telling some other people, hey, I'm going to give your phone number out, okay? So don't be surprised. Yes, sir.
They're very aware of you and your life. They will help you find the information that you need. I mean, I've heard stories of where newspapers would come from overseas overnight and show up on somebody's doorstep.
Right.
They come to the door and open a look, and there's a newspaper from all the way from across the water about information that they need to know in order to find somebody or whatever. I mean, it's amazing. They're very interested in us, what we're doing, and they will help you. If you hit a wall, right time, right place, and they'll help you get over it.
So let's see if I can make sure I stay on track and get finished, because we're gonna be eating lunch in a minute. I can't miss lunch. Yeah, I don't know. What I did here? I got her right.
Well, while you're finding that, the few experiences that I've had similar to what you all are speaking of, and with my experience, I couldn't rest until I got the job done.
my mother coming to me shortly, well, not really shortly after she passed, but she had passed. And there was something she wanted me to do. I didn't know what she wanted me to do, but she would not. I just couldn't rest. I even got my husband come, like, we just got to do this. And I was so passionate about it that he didn't say, this don't even sound right. This is silly. What are you talking about? Your mom's dead. She's not speaking to you. It was so real that I was behaving in such urgency about it that he just wanted to get whatever it was done to get me back to normal. And once it got done to her satisfaction, that feeling just left me. I didn't, no sleepless nights anymore, no having to talk with this and that one anymore, and it was done. It doesn't happen often, but that was my experience.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to ignore some of this, unless you're aware. This is one of those applications that lets you put in your family tree, and then you can upload it to, say, family ancestry or family search. But there's a story that I embed. This is my father, B.M. Judge, and he was born in 1931. But I have one of his stories that I want you to hear.
Yep. He said, I'm gonna catch y'all one day. He did. He did. Tripped us up, tore our ass up with that stick. If we ain't borrowing his chair, he no more. You do better than that. You do better than that. Yeah, man, boy. But we used to have a lot of fun out there. Grandpa Riley. Yeah, boy.
Now, the gentleman he's speaking of is his grandfather. And there's not much more to that video. I didn't cut him off. That's actually the end of it. He is his great-grandfather, my second great-grandfather. And this is him. And how that photograph came about, I was at a birthday party for my father's sister, Clara. And she was 85 years old, celebrating her birthday, and had a bunch of family over. And in the kitchen, on the floor, against the wall, was this photograph. It's a portrait, actually. It's actually a rendition of what he would have looked like. I don't know how old this is. It's really old. This man was born in 1852. And so I'd venture to say it was before 1938, because that's when he died. His name is William Riley Robinson, and he is now documented thanks to my father and some of the work that we're doing with the family tree now. But there's another picture of him. Yeah, see the chain and the hat? Those guys really were serious about this kind of stuff. I'd say that picture is really, yeah, that's closer to when he passed away. So that's probably in the 1930s. Yes, ma'am.
See, I want to do all this. I have fabulous pictures. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to put photographs up.
Okay, so
where am I going to
so what I did, this started off a photograph of a photograph. And so I used my camera to take a picture of, because a family member, yes.
And then download it.
Yes. Now, there are better ways to do that, but scan it is the best way. If you can get it scanned, you get better quality. Right. Right. So the scanned photographs are the best ones. So if you can scan it, yes.
I don't know how to do that.
If you take them to Walgreens, they can scan it into
Everything in
PDF.
my computer.
Right. Well, if you can do that, you are ahead of the game more than most. You can do that. You're ahead of a lot of young folk. So do that, and then all these things, I keep them. I have a separate file. I'll show you because it's really a lot more fundamental than most. It's like these folders on the desktop here, but I'll show you exactly what it looks like because I'm constantly asked, how do you do that?
Ma'am, do you know how to get it in your tree? Is that your question?
Yes.
To how to get it to your tree? Are you using Ancestry, for instance?
Well, right now, I'm a real novice. I have the whole big tree in Family Search.
Okay.
Family search is real easy because you go to the memory section, it's all the way over on the right,
Okay, I saw it.
and you click on that, and it'll show what memories are in there, and you've got upload photo, upload document.
Okay.
I keep everything in this file called, it's my family tree maker file, but I keep it all for my family in this one that's called Byron Media. And it has everything in there. It's all the documents. When I scan it into that folder. I start there. Everything I have, if it's not there, it's not anywhere else. It starts there. And it's so that I keep, there's a focal point where everything is. So I'm getting to now to the point where I'm like, Wade, I know that I have most of my good days behind me, and there's shorter days ahead. I understand, and so I'm looking now for who's the guy I'm going to give my box to, and that's not easy, by the way, because nobody wants that box. Because for some reason they think, well, if you give me the box, you. So what I've done recently is there are 2 or 3 people that I feel good about. A couple of them are older, and one's younger. And I said, I'm not comfortable having all this information by myself. So I gave them everything I have. But see, I'm adding to it every day so they don't have everything. So there's still somebody that's going to say, I'll take the box. You can count on me, I got it. But I don't think that that's going to happen necessarily. What happens is you find somebody who the spirits put them in the right spot, and they're the person that you're supposed to give it to. And they're not going to look at that stuff for 12 years. And 3 in the morning, you're going to look at the box and go, okay, here we go. And now they're excited about doing this stuff. It was somebody asked me a couple of days ago, so were you really excited about doing this to begin with? No. It was, I thought, why would he give this stuff to me? It was like, he had family crests and all this stuff. I thought, what am I going to do with that stuff? I knew his story pretty well. Turns out Wade was my step great uncle. My great grandfather never married his mama either. So we had a lot in common. You were both kind of kindred spirits when it came to that. I said, well, so I was close to him, but I didn't know how close. You know what I mean? You're in the same room with a guy, and you get along pretty good, but it's not likely that the books that I gave out, there was one by Gaines called The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. In the story, she's got this little baby. In this one scene, she's got the baby, and she's looking at the baby, and she says, "Is you the one?" Now, if you get that, since somebody's asked that question about you, And you've already answered the call. If you're in the room, you were the one. You're the one who's going to be the keeper. You got all the records. You've been drafted. You got the job. So you're going to do it now. And you do the best you can. And you're going to miss some sleep some nights. Because Emmanuel and I already told you how it works. They're going to come and tell you, okay, yeah, you're on the right track. You need to go. Coming from a funeral, Jules said to me, you know you really need to go find your people. That's 2007, the summer of 2007. And by the fall of 2007, I found my biological father. Or did I? Scenario. What if you do all this, and then there's this new technology that comes out called DNA? Don't be surprised. It's part of the story. It's what you're supposed to do. Follow the trail. Don't stop. It sounds crazy. I'm telling you, I don't understand it.
There's some oops in there.
Don't stop because there's some oops. The oops are important. It's gonna tell you stuff that yes, and then what's the tricky part is to go, why did I have to know that? Why do you find it important to tell me that? Now I got to keep that secret too, along with the other stuff. It's just too much sometimes, but it's because you're the one. You're the only one that they trust with it. So consider yourself, you're blessed to a tremendous degree if you've been selected. And don't fight and kick. It's actually quite nice if you don't fight it too much. Enjoy the ride. Okay? Yeah, gave out the last mug. Yes, ma'am.
So have you found it healing? Because I found it very healing.
Yes, it is. All of it. But you have to take it all. You have to take it all and go, ooh, didn't see that coming. Wow. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You have some of the older people who are still living, and you go to them and you ask them questions and you interview them or whatever, and you get to stonewall until you get at a certain point. That's where the oops are. They won't, most of the time they won't tell you.
My mother's stepfather, I went to him, and this was quite a few years ago, and he said to me, no, you leave those folks alone. He said, your grandmother wasn't all that fond of those people anyway, and you just opening up old wounds. And I invited him to our first family reunion in 2003, and we did a slideshow presentation. I showed a picture of his wife, my grandmother on the screen. And I said, you know who that is? He looked at me real strange. I said, that's my wife. And he wasn't warm to this. It never was. But I didn't realize this. That was just his character. It wasn't anything personal. So I met one of my uncle's children, was a grandchild of this man. He said, we were at the funeral, and I said, your grandfather was an amazing guy. We got along pretty good. And he said, how you get along with him? How could you get along with him? He's the most difficult person you ever want to meet. And I thought, well, yeah, he was kind of difficult to me, but I had conversations with him. I knew what to expect by then, but this young kid was going, my grandfather was not warm and fuzzy. You got him to talk to you? I said, as much as you can get him to talk, yeah. So it was only till then that I found out, these people aren't always going to be interested in what you want to know. And some of it is because of the pain. They experienced some stuff, and they're not interested in talking about that. So, yes, still you you still have to keep digging. They got a photograph I want to show you. I got to show you this one. This one I just got about 3 weeks ago. I had never seen this picture before. As I'm thinking about it, this lady, one of my favorite characters, and she's a great aunt. I found this picture. It came to me from this cousin that I hadn't seen or spoken to for 50 years. And she sent it. And what she did is she took a picture from her computer and sent it. So it's not the best quality. I'm gonna see if I can't get her to take it out of the frame because it's shadow and stuff in there from the glass. She didn't take it out of the frame. But that, I had never seen my great aunt in a photograph that young before. So I'll show you what I last saw her when she passed away in 1972. So I was a much younger fellow when she was an interesting character, and I'm just finding out the story about her. But she would come to New Orleans to visit. She had moved in the migration, the Great Migration. She moved to.
So is this what the lady was asking about, putting pictures on her?
Yes. Now these are they're in Family Tree Maker, and so I go from my files to this program, and then if I want to upload it to Ancestry or to Family Search, I can do it from here. And I'm real select. Some of these stories, somebody asked a question earlier, and I knew the direction we're heading. You have to really be careful about other folks' stories, because sometimes they'll tell you, all right, look, please do not publish that. I can't talk about the Duke of Earl because that story is being written and it's going into copyright status. I can't talk about that. Legally, I'm not allowed to talk about it. So you have to kind of respect those things too. And then some of the stories are very, very personal. Those are not, they're limited to your family members. There are things about my life only my wife knows about, and that's the way it's supposed to be, apparently, till such time that she says, okay, you can tell somebody if I let you, but I won't. She doesn't tell me it's a green light, I'm not doing it. Yeah, so but the lady in the photograph, this picture is done in 1968. I'm sorry, see, I have it in here. 1968.
1969 it says.
69. 1969. Yeah, and the little girl is now 56 years old. And so we're in communication, but that's her great grandmother and my great grandfather's sister. So I would see her on occasion when she came to New Orleans, and they all ended up somehow at my mom's house. It was kind of the hub for where people kind of got together. Part of it was because there were four generations of us that grew up in this one little house in this one little area town in New Orleans. And so it was a place everybody was familiar with. So when they came into town, they came there. They came to that one spot. And so it's interesting. We kind of tried to continue that tradition. So our home has been always open to our family. You can always come to our family members. some of them weren't the best people to come and visit, but you gotta love them. They're all your family. Yeah, so to give you an idea, these people, I don't think my Aunt Deline wants me to know her story. And I say that because my cousin and I have had discussions about what we think was her story. And let's just put it this way. She moved from New Orleans 1930s. And she moved to New York, and she lived across the street from Central Park. And she owned a brownstone in Harlem. Well, how do you do that? I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I'm excited about it every time I get little tidbits about what they think happened. And there's this person that went to New York with Toots and another one named Nan, and those photographs are showing up. Those then you, wow, there's some incredible story behind those folks. And well, guess what? They survived, and they not only survived, they thrived. And their descendants did well because they did some things, apparently, that was necessary to just make life work. You get there however you can. So, how are we doing? What else we have left? Let's see. Oh, that's the wrong one. This one. Okay. Did the 60th birthday celebration? No. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the photos. Yeah, it's always about the photos. Look, always ask about the photos. Wherever you are, ask about the photographs. I got a photograph about 2 years ago from my sister's good friend. My sister is 4 years older. It's my mom's daughter. My father's daughter is 5 years older. So there's 9 of us total. And is that right? 9? Yeah. 5 and 5. Yeah, that's right. This is 10, right? 9. Right? 9. Right?
Honey, speak up.
Yeah, there's 9 of us, right? My mom's children, my dad's children combined. Right.
4 boys and a girl on one, 4 boys and 4 on the other.
Right. But you can't count me but once. You can't. That's why it's only 9. I did this in the math class. The kids just I blew them. Yeah. Anyway, there's 9 of us, and my sister, my mom's daughter, Deborah, and this girl, they were good friends growing up, and I saw her in 2019 at a family reunion I was invited to, and it was reluctant to go, but I went, and I'm glad I went. I saw her there, and when she went back to California from that family reunion, she sent me this photograph. Another one of those I had never seen before. Turns out her mother and my mother were best friends. And she had this one photograph of my mom. I thought, how amazing is that? You know, just who has this kind of stuff? So yeah, there are a bunch of duplicates in here, and triplicates. Anyway, yes.
I just had a comment. A lot of times you struggle trying to get information, and then just out of the blue, you thought you exhausted everything. somebody will come up with a photo. Maybe they're not even related to you. Like my sister was saying earlier, this lady just lived in the neighborhood, and she had more photos of our family than we did. Cause back then, people kept photos. That was a big thing, you have a photo of somebody. So she had photos that we had never seen ourselves, and we were, the children and grandchildren.
Now, if you were here when we were talking about Emma Vick Nair, the lady that was one of the great-grandchildren of Emma Vick Nair is this girl who sent me this photograph of my mother. So, I mean, we're not blood related, but we lived near each other just enough to know that, okay, our families are intertwined. Oh, maybe a tip is just hit, and you probably heard this before, but if you're looking at a census record and you're on line 32 and you see your family 32 to 37, that's your people, don't ignore the ones on line 30, 29, 28, or the ones below 37, because it's possible they're related to you, or they know they lived in the house next door, or both. And so, that being said, I had some people who asked him about slave schedules and things like that. A lot of the information will come from the information that shows up in the census. If they don't have there are very few slave schedules that deal with people. I mean, they're just you're talking millions of people and hundreds of thousands of records. So you may not find your ancestors in slave schedules. But find them is on the census if there's an 1850 census. And they show up, you'll know, because they'll identify them differently. Like in some cases, you see the big M for mulatto, or you'll see N. That's what it is. And so sometimes you'll find them there. Not always.
We found on the census is that, particularly in Louisiana, we have several family members on the same street, houses, different houses down,
Really common.
We can have a tendency to kind of group up.
Yeah, we're working on a situation now that we think that the father was in the neighborhood, and he's on the census. We can't define it for sure. And now the DNA records are kicking in, and the descendants, those kids, those great-grandkids, great, they're popping up on your matches. And you don't know who they are, so you have to find out who they are, and then you go, oh, that's one of those kids from that group who were on that same street, in that same block, two doors away or something like that. Yeah, and I'm convinced that it's more like what Emmanuel says. Those people, they're telling you everything you need to know, and you just have to listen, because it seems that those things show up at the most ungodly hours. Yeah, I could go on, but it's you.
They're not ruled by time.
They're not. They really aren't. That's the best thing I heard all day. That you're saying. I couldn't quite put it any better. There's no way I could do it. That's exactly what it is. You're going, wow, really? You want me to get up now? Go look at the pictures on the wall. Just go look at the pictures on the wall. There's the answers on the wall. And there's a photograph here that looks like eerily like this one. Well, I'll be doggone it. One was taken in 1954 and the other one was taken in 1975. Same pose, different cars, different people. Same place that they parked the cars. Gotta be kidding me. What's that all about, right? I don't know. All right, so now I guess we got 8 minutes.
And see, y'all have inspired me. I'm just getting started.
You're gonna have a good time. Just enjoy it.
My dad was one of 12 children, my mother was one of 9. And my dad, I got all the stuff. I mean, he traveled all over. And my mother, I've got old pictures. And my children have said, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
No, you recorded because your grandchildren might care.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What she
Keep.
said about digital pictures is true. They're totally into digital pictures. If it moves, it's cool to them, and they're like to edit them. And so you just put it out there in a digital format on the internet, and you see who finds it.
Right.
And
You'd be surprised.
kids don't care right now.
Yep.
That's their responsibility. I know they're the one.
Yes, sir.
Our youngest son, who had no interest in genealogy or anything, he got the bug a while back. And this kid, he's a very unusual child anyway. He's the youngest. And now he's finding stuff. He's got into the line. He's going all back into the, probably back to Adam and Eve by now. And he's finding, clicked into royalty and all this stuff. And we were talking about, in a class earlier, we were talking about, what was it called, ancient DNA.
Mm-hmm.
He's even gone back and found
Wow.
fatality. I mean, he's just gone crazy. And while I got your attention, I'm going to share something with you. I'll tell you the root of all of this. Tell you why this is happening. First of all, God is very interested in all his children. He has no dead children. He loves them all. You might go through different things in your life, slavery, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. But it's in the end, he knows how to make lemonade out of lemon.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you suffer, your ancestors have suffered, it all will be rewarded in the end if you just endure it. This life is very short.
Yeah.
And it
It
doesn't
is.
take long for it to, it's just a memory. And where all this stems from is from this passage in the scripture that says, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. And that's what's happening. Elijah has come. He has come. Elijah had the sealing power, where whatever is sealed on earth will be sealed in heaven. So that's how you keep your family together. When you go to heaven, your family stays together as a unit, not separate anymore. What good is it to die and go to heaven and you can't have your family with you?
Right.
And so Elijah had that sealing power. So he's come back with that sealing power and given it back to the earth. And now that's why we lose sleep at night, because he's turning our hearts to our forefathers who passed on. And their hearts are turned to us. That's why you're getting that help from the other side of the veil.
Right.
And
It's amazing.
that's what's
It's
happening.
amazing.
But notice he says, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
Wow.
And that's
Wow.
people who don't know kids and stuff who don't know who they are, where they came from, that's a curse, because they don't know, they're just aimlessly wandering through life.
Yep.
And they need to know who they are.
So you asked the question earlier, does it heal? Yes, I can't tell you how much that makes sense to me. Yes, you you know I travel with these people. I mean, they're the ones. Yeah, they're counselors. They say things you need to have said to you, and they tell you you're doing the right. You know, I rarely get scolded, and usually that's my mom. I know it's her because she's the only one that says like, Byron, I taught you better than that. I get that from her. But everyone else, they're constantly there and they're going, well, you did good. You did good. And tomorrow's going to even be better. I got something special for you. You know, just it's amazing how it, and I'm not worried about who's going to do it. Somebody will do it. Because I think those guys got the plan for that. And I'll help as much as I can, but I don't force that. I don't fight it. I enjoy it. But if you don't get joy out of this, something is missing, and I don't think you should give up. I just think you need to find out what it is you're missing, because if you get it, if it locks in, yeah, there is a tremendous comfort.
Yeah, for me personally, just my life story, I don't need to tell it to you, but it heals my heart. I really didn't like my father, but doing family history healed my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Where I didn't have to hate anymore, I didn't have to misunderstand anymore, and all the junk that happened was in history, in the past for me. And I could forgive and I could move forward. And I found hope, too. You know, like you find hope.
Yes.
I'm going to be a little bit, for me it was the women. The women were so strong in my life. They endured so much. They had so many children. They had to go through a lot. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But find their babies, the ones they never forgot.
Right.
For me, late at night, putting babies with moms and never forgot about their babies. It's powerful.
It is. It is.
Families come together, and we are all one great family.
Yep.
We all care, and we just care about dead people. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we talk to dead people, they don't talk back as much as yours do.
Yeah.
The scripture tells us that one day we will know as we are known.
Yeah.
And that one day is starting now with what we're doing in this research. Because knowing more about your ancestors, where you came from, and all of these things that you learn in this process is a part of that work of being known, knowing yourself as you're known. And it brings a lot of things, like you say, to closure in some kind of way for you, knowing some of these things. Some of them open up a can of worms, but others will heal.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, those worms will heal as well. But yeah, it helps so much. And I was thinking about young people who seem to be so, where they're not very far thinking, and that's part of being young too, anyway. But to some young people, to know some of this stuff that you're finding out about them and their relatives, it would help them so much in their developing and maturing, and probably help them in some of the decisions that they make, because it feels like you're the standard bearer for some kind of way. You know,
Right.
I can't do this, I can't be that way, stop, because I would let them down. Kind of feeling. Yes, absolutely. You've got to know that you have roots.
Manuel, there was this is my last comment on this. I was watching a Zoom video by the author of this book. I put it out there. It's Robin Foster. She's really kind of interesting person. She's really one of those people that knows Family Search. And she worked for him for close to 30 years, and now she does some things more commercial. She works on research stuff. But she was on a Zoom call a couple of days ago, and she said that her daughter, and in the school that she sent her daughter to, her daughter could see her dad in the hallways, her grandfather in the halls. And her grandfather had passed away years before the child even knew him. She could see. This is, now, I think the thing that impressed me the most is that first she gave that story up in front of all these people, and I could tell that the panel that she was on, it went over a lot of folks' head. But I'm sitting there going, oh, and I knew what she was talking about because it took her a bit to get that out. All right, we're coming now. Well, folks, I hope we made it good. Thank you for coming.